Hello everyone, I am your host The Knight and welcome to my thoughts on Moana 2. Let's begin. So, right off the bat, let's just address the elephant in the room. Is this as good as the first one? No, not by a long shot. But I will say it is not a Disney sequel flop. It was still enjoyable and it was still a good movie. It's not as good as the first one. Now, one of the reasons that might be the case is the portrayal of the villain in this movie. My thoughts on these videos and these movies are slightly spoiled, so here's your warning. But the villain in this movie was both there and wasn't. Let me explain. Throughout the entirety of the movie, they treat him as they kind of did with Taka, the fire demon from the first one. Except the difference was between the two is Taka felt like an actual threat and an actual enemy. Whereas the giant storm cloud we see was a threat, but not a very convincing villain threat. And the only thing we have to go on for how much of a menace and a villain, or this new god in the movie is by word of mouth. And even though he is perceived as a threat and we do see his power, just the fact that he does not appear physically to speak or say anything until, well, the very end of the film kind of hurt it a bit, because I feel like if you're gonna have a villain, you gotta have him show his motives and explain his motives himself. Because when you just have other characters do it, yes, you see the threat, but you're also not like fully understanding the motive behind it or the reason behind it. And it just, the fact that he doesn't appear until the very end of the film really hurt his character. Like, I'm not gonna doubt that when we next see him, that's another slight spoiler, there's gonna be more, but when we next see him, he will be a threat. But just as he is in this movie, wasn't very impressed with how they introduced him. Now, another major hit that this one takes on why it's not as good as the first Moana is the songs. Whereas in the first Moana, the songs were just bangers, like hit after hit after hit. And then this one, it was hit or miss. Like, Disney tried to adapt different genres and different styles into this film to like test the waters to see where they can go. And for some of them, they were hits, and for some of them, they worked. But for others, they didn't. The other issue that they had is a lot of these new songs kind of did what Encanto did, and they followed along with more of a music video style. And I don't like it when they do that in these types of films, because the whole point of having a musical number in a film is the song goes along with the story and with the example and doesn't like go along with the pattern of a music video. Because a music video, it's supposed to be a short amount of time that explains a story and explains a message all very quickly. And when you apply that into a movie, it kind of separates the song from the story. Like, even if it is connected, it separates the two of them, because it's trying to get out a message in a quick span of time. Whereas in a movie version, it should be just progressing the story and explaining the situations of the characters and where they are currently at. And it didn't quite do that for this because they had it in music video style. Not all of them, but most of them. Another issue that this film had was the pacing. And the reason for that is because apparently this was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus show. Like, it wasn't supposed to be a theatrical movie. It was going to be called Moana Plus or something like that. The problem with them taking the show and making it into a movie is they essentially had to take several of the potentially 20 to 30 minute, 8 episode long series and reduce it down to, I think, about 120 minutes. And when you do that, you got to take a lot of stuff out. So while the film, I will give it credit, did focus on Moana's character and her development, it failed to focus on a lot of the new characters that they introduced. And I feel like a lot of their development and growth were supposed to come in those episodes in those series, but it got cut because they made it a theatrical release. Like, I guess, for example, there's a character in here, I won't try to spoil, like, light spoilers. There's a character in here who has a similar traumatic effect that Moana does in her first film. And I think how the TV show would have went is Moana would have helped that character process what they went through as she did in the first one. But because this is a theatrical release and not a Disney Plus show, it goes from him being completely traumatized from the event to, oh, I'm okay. No big deal. We can continue onward. Like, it didn't make sense. And I feel like that is because they had to cut his character development in order to focus on Moana and to focus on the theatrical release instead of a Disney Plus show. Now, the other thing about this movie that was both a benefit and a disadvantage was the acting. Like, a lot of the cast did an excellent job for this film. They gave their heart and soul for this, especially the actors from Moana. Like, there were moments where I felt like I was almost brought to tears by her acting alone, because she poured her heart and soul into this character. And she has to get credit for it. Like, not only is she an incredible vocal singer, she's also an incredible voice actress. Like, give her credit where credit is due. The disadvantage was actually, to my surprise, was The Rock. Because I remember from the first film, The Rock had played the character as the character. Like, it was a similar effect to where I said that Awkwafina in Kung Fu Panda 4 played the character and not the character as Awkwafina. It was the same thing here with the first Moana movie. The Rock played Maui as Maui and not Maui as The Rock. Whereas in this one, it was the same case for some moments of it, but a lot of it felt like it was Maui as The Rock. It was just his characters. Like, he made certain jokes or quirks, or he said certain things in certain ways. I was like, that's not Maui, that's The Rock. And so, while there were some benefits from the acting and from the actress from Moana, there were also some disadvantages. And I don't think it's entirely The Rock's fault, because this movie kind of felt like it was sprung out of nowhere. Like, I feel like they announced it midway through 2024, and its actual release is now, like, just pushed upon us. And especially since they had to do it before Thanksgiving came out and before Wicked came out, so they could actually make some money on this. So I don't think it's entirely this fault. A lot of it was probably rushed, and so a lot of the actors and actresses probably didn't have enough time to prepare for the roles as much as they needed to. So they had some disadvantage. I just feel like there were some bad moments in terms of the acting, but there were also some very great moments. Now, all of that to say, I did enjoy this movie. Like, if you are going to see a family-friendly movie, Disney movie, you would want to go this one. This would not be one where your kids will fall asleep in the theater or be absolutely bored to watch. Like, this will actually grab their attention and keep their focus throughout the movie. And it will also grab your attention as well, because it was an interesting concept. I will say, in terms of the story, they don't just go in a random direction for the story. They actually take some of the hints that they gave from the first film and apply that to the new story of the continuation of her journey. So you as an audience member yourself won't be bored. If you have kids, they won't be bored. It was a good movie. Acting was good, story was decent, vocals were great, music was meh, pacing was meh, but the overall experience was still fun. So, in my honest opinion, I would probably give Moana 2 an 8.9 out of 10, which is not a bad score. Not the worst Disney sequel, not the best Disney sequel, but still a good film. So, with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed the content, please consider giving it a like and subscribe, as it helps me and it helps the channel. Feel free to comment down below if you would like to discuss this film, your thoughts. Try to keep it spoiler free for those who still haven't seen it. But until then, I am your host, The Knight. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video. God bless you, and take care.